Welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast. Did you know that plants are truly amazing? Not only can you grow them and eat them, you can also wear them, drink them, nourish your skin with them, and so much more. Let Ellen and Michael inspire you to love plants as much as they do, as they chat with the movers and shakers in this wonderful plant-based world. So, let's dig in.
The tranquil, soothing, natural sound of flowing water. Listening to it has been shown to lower your heart rate and blood pressure and generally relax your whole body. Combining the magical sound of cascading water with the beauty of plants, Hydria Life will now enable you to use those same health and well-being effects at home or in the garden. Get 10% off their rechargeable Hydria fountain at hydrialife.com. All you need to do is quote the code PLANT24 when ordering.
So today's guest is a highly experienced gardener, horticultural journalist, RHS Chelsea Flower Show judge and lecturer. If that's not busy enough, she is also the author of 2 books, Diary of a Modern Country Gardener and Grasping the Nettle, Tales from a Modern Country Gardener. That might give you a clue to our wonderful guest, gardener Tamsin Westhorpe of Stockton Berry Gardens, who will spill the peas on what it's really like to run a garden open to the public. So welcome to the podcast, Tamsin.
Thank you for having me. It's very lovely to see you all.
Very good. It's really funny, Tamsin, because I've known you for so many years, but it wasn't until recently when I finally visited Stockton Berry that we actually had more than 2 minutes together, and it was amazing. And you gave me a tour of the gardens. I had a bacon sandwich made by your sister Connie as well. That was wonderful. So it was really, really nice to finally be there, to finally kind of touch base with you, as it were. And I love the gardens, but tell us about the gardens, but more importantly, your journey, because you actually came back there. It was almost like coming home after many years of being in the big smoke, right? Well,
yeah,
not such a big smoke, but Poole in Dorset. That's a big smoke, right?
Compared to Herefordshire, it's a big smoke.
In the city, yeah.
So basically, I grew up in a boarding school in Surrey. My parents ran a boarding school, and we would come home to the farm, Stocktonbury, in the holidays to be with Granny, and we would move the sheep, and I had a pony. And it was really lovely, very Enid Blyton type of holiday. So very connected to the place, as are my sisters. And then when I left school, my 2 sisters are quite bright. They would say they're not, but they are. They did A-levels, and my parents didn't know what to do with me. They weren't going to pay for me to be at that school anymore. So they sent me here. And then I was sent by my grandfather to garden with his second cousin, who was John Treasure of Burford House Gardens, up the road. So, and I loved it, absolutely loved it. And I thought, this is just what I want to do. I don't want to go to college. I don't want to do education. And then my Uncle John said, I think you need to go to college. And I was mortified. I thought, why? So he kind of suggested I went to Sparsholt, which I absolutely loved, actually. And my work placement there was a year in Bournemouth Parks. So off I went to Bournemouth, where I had a very quirky, very wonderful great aunt lived there, who lived off cigarettes and dregs. She used to have dreg parties. She was just the best. Always looked so glamorous, fabulous. So I lived with her for a bit and just fell in love with Dorset. And fortunately, after a few other jobs in garden centres and things like that, I ended up working on a magazine as the bottom rung of the ladder. The lovely David Hurrian was the editor.
Oh, wow.
Probably know David. So David was my
Yeah.
college lecturer. So he sort of said, come on, give this a go. You can make the coffee and file a few pictures and stuff. So I thought, okay, so I did that. And I really, this makes me sound very shallow, but I really wanted a little sports car. And the wages were better than the parks.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends, a lot of my girlfriends would say, you can't just be a gardener. You can't be, greenkeeper. It's just not a thing. And interestingly, those friends now would love to have done what I did.
See.
Tables turn. So I ended up working on a magazine, and that's how I ended up in Poole. So lots and lots of stories. So loved it down there. And then I ended up working on Amateur Gardening magazine, the weekly. And I was sitting at my desk one day, I was the deputy, and the phone rang, and it was a publisher from Cheltenham. And they said, we're looking for someone to edit the English Garden magazine. So I sat there and I reeled off all these names. And they went, no, we've tried everybody. I thought, marvellous. We hear you're from up this neck of the woods. Would you come for an interview? And I thought, well, I can't be an editor. That's ridiculous. I've got no journalism training. I've just, worked my way up. But I thought, oh, sod it, I'll go for the interview anyway. And I got the job.
Amazing.
Which was quite shocking. So I ended up moving back to this part of the world. Edited that for 7 years. And then decided actually that Stocktonbury, I wanted to get back to gardening. And my uncle, it's his home, his garden. And I thought, let's see if I can, join in here and make this work.
And this was, just think that this all goes back to the fact that you wanted a sports car.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Did you get the sports car, by the way?
Yes, I did. Of course I did. I used to drive around Bournemouth in this little red MX-5.
I knew it would be an MX-5.
Brilliant.
I knew it.
The thing is, when I met my husband, he's a car man. I couldn't afford the alloy wheels. And he said, you've basically got a lovely car with dreadful wheels. So the first thing he did, he bought me some wheels. So I thought,
for your birthday,
this is the right guy for me.
I love that.
I love that.
That's so brilliant. Well, so there you are. Now with this beautiful garden. I haven't been to visit it yet, but Michael, after he came, he said to me, have you been? And I said, no, I haven't. He said, you should go. It's absolutely beautiful. Like for our listeners, can you kind of take us on a walk around the garden so listeners can imagine what it looks like to entice them to come and visit you, and then perhaps also give us a little bit about the history of the gardens as well.
Sure. So this is me and my sister, we're 5th generation family here. So my great-great-grandfather was a tenant farmer here, and he bought the farm off Lord Rodney from Berrington Hall, which is a National Trust property over the road, because I think Lord Rodney had financial trouble. So just luck, by someone else's misfortune, we're here, basically. So you arrive at Stocktonbury, you come down a drive, and straight in front of you is this amazing orchard where we grow cider apples and beautifully lined trees with sheep underneath. So we're in the heart of a farm, a very traditional farm. It feels a bit like stepping back in time. And then you walk in through our reception area, which has a traditional cider press, old-fashioned cider press. And then within the garden, we've got a dovecot, a medieval dovecot. Our cafe is a tithe barn, old tithe barn. And the kitchen always makes me laugh. The kitchen was where I used to keep my pony. So there's somebody cooking in there now. It's quite strange. So the garden is, I would say, several rooms. So it's not kind of where you walk in, you think, wow, that's grand and unachievable. There's lots of pockets for people to take away. And we can be quite busy, and yet you can have time to yourself here because there are these nooks and crannies. It's definitely a journey with lots of areas to discover. There's a lovely secret garden and a grotto, kitchen garden. The dingle, the water garden, is popular. So I would describe it as a plantsman's garden that's quite relaxed, but not wild. I think it sort of sits somewhere in the middle.
Okay, that's nice.
Okay.
A little piece for everybody. Then,
Yeah.
With lots of places to hide. That's what I heard.
Yeah. So that's what I do. If I really want to garden, and like I've been trying to garden this morning, it's so difficult because you want to talk to people.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes I will garden in the fruit frame because you can lock that.
Yeah.
But, if you really just think I've got to get on now, but it's so lovely to share the garden with people. So yeah.
Oh, totally. But what was it like coming back home after all those years? It must have taken a little bit of adjustment, because you kind of your uncle is still working in the garden as well. How does that relationship work as well?
My uncle and his partner Gordon, so they've created the garden. And when I lived here, when I was 16, I watched them. That was quite a pivotal moment where they were doing incredible things in the garden. So I would watch out my bedroom window and think, what are they doing now? They've got a digger in. And and so I think that's probably why I'm connected to it, because I remember when it was just muck tumps or when it was just a compost heap and now is something more lovely. So coming back to it, I've got to be honest, the biggest thing was I've been sitting for 7 years at an editor's desk. I used to drive 100 miles a day from here to Cheltenham because I had a little boy, so Mum used to help me with him. And it was just, I was so unfit. That was the worst thing. I remember you're thinking, right, I'm going to crack on. And my uncle saying to me, just go steady. I remember the first couple of days, I laid out on the sofa. I thought, this is absolutely exhausting.
Wow.
One of the best things I've got out of it is fitness.
Okay.
Feel good. Do you know what I mean? But what I did miss is it's quite isolating being a gardener. And I think people don't often mention this. You are on your own all winter gardening, and it can be, you can't think too deeply. I've started listening to a lot of podcasts, radio. I don't think you should sit and wallow in your own thoughts when you're a gardener. That's quite dangerous. So gardening with someone is good. I've got a few volunteers now, so that's great. But yeah, it was a shock socially because Herefordshire is really rural. And I think people here probably find me a bit quirky.
We love quirky, Tamsin. We love quirky.
What is she doing now?
I definitely see what you mean. You've come from an environment, where you're working in an office with people all around you.
Yeah, such a big difference.
The solace, of a garden, in your own head. And we talk about how good gardening is for wellness. Overall, absolutely is. But if you are a gardener and you're out there all day, most days on your own, it's easy to get in your head. Do you know what I mean? You've got to kind of get out. So, you also do talks at, events and shows. So that must be nice for you also to get out and to see other people within.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for me, I always feel really generated when I've been out to a show, because you are sort of, oh gosh, great. Okay, there is a different world, because what is so lovely about here is it's so traditional. People want to come here because it's oh gosh, relief from the busy world.
Okay, yeah.
But on the flip side, I quite like to have a bit of the busy world. And I'm a bit scared if I don't leave here, I shall just end up with baler twine holding my trousers up and not be socially acceptable. So yeah.
So do you feel like you have to leave at least every 2 weeks or what?
No, probably 3 weeks. And just make sure that, oh God, I get the reasonable clothes out of my wardrobe. And because in the winter, I don't need to get my hair done. I'm in a bobble hat. So yeah, it's a different lifestyle, but it's good to have the two. It's good to have the two.
It's all about balance, isn't it? You know, us humans are either all one or all of the other. A little bit of balance is what we need. I love the fact that you keep saying how traditional the garden is, because literally over this year, probably mainly, I have been hankering for the past, and I know we shouldn't do that, but I'm so over the modern world. Literally, I'm craving times gone by. Like, we even bought a record player, and my husband put on like an old LP or something that I don't even know, and I cried, and he was like, "Why?"
Really?
I'm like, "Because it reminds me of when times were different." And it was
but you know, I had a similar
It's all too
thing.
quick now.
We had a car rally come, so these lovely classic cars came, and they had breakfast here, and I was crying as they were pulling in. I thought, what's going on? But I think you're right. I think we need that connection, and the fact that, you know, my uncle was born in the house. He's gardened here. He's 77 now. I hope that's right, because I'm very upset. And he's gardened here since he was like 5. And, you know, I was in the stable the day where we have a museum painting. I do a lot of painting to sharpen things up around here. And the windowsill I'd rubbed down, and I found an engraving from Mr. Fox, who was our gardener in the war. And his initials were in the windowsill. And I love that. That's just like, how cool is that?
That's so cool. And talking about the past, we are on gardening here. So we did say we'll probably go off on tangents. But when I was at the Malvern Spring Festival, and I was chatting with Martin Fitch on his potting shed stage.
Yes.
And there was a guy in the audience, and he had a spade. And Martin said...
he just brought a spade with him.
He'd bought a spade at the show.
Oh, right.
And he was sitting there with this spade, and Martin said to him, so we'd come to the end of like our chat, and he said to the guy, I have to just ask you about that spade. He said, because the shape of the handle is pre-war. So pre-war, the handles were, I don't know, slightly more triangular. But during the war, because there wasn't so much metal available, the whole handle of a spade was wood. So they crafted the handle, which was all into the same, into the spade, and then the metal, like, and he said, so I think that is from the war. And the guy came over at the end with the spade, and it was absolutely beautiful. So he'd brought it from like the antique place there, and it was. He said it was at least 100 years old, and we were all completely like blown away, because this spade will have been held by probably numerous gardeners, and you want and it's dug, you know what I mean, what soil it's been in, and it was absolutely perfect. Like, you don't make spades like that anymore. This is like the perfect spade that will last another 100 years, and we were all completely blown away by this spade, because it was so traditional and so beautiful. It's nice. It's a nice feeling, isn't it?
We've got lots of old spades here, I can tell you.
I bet. So let's talk about opening the garden to the public in general then. Like, what's it like behind the scenes when you're preparing to open?
So I remember when we were kids, and my uncle opened the garden sort of 27 years ago. On a smaller scale, you know, they opened it very slowly. It was purely a hobby. It was never designed to be opened. It was just some people said you should open it. And I remember we were all having Sunday lunch in the house, and suddenly people were peering through the window, and it was like really weird. And my grandmother had to take her washing off the line, and, you know, things like that. So that changed initially. But actually now we're so used to people being around, it doesn't that doesn't faze us at all. But I think the biggest thing that people don't realise is, you know, we've got friends that will say, oh, you just open the gate. And you think, oh, my goodness.
They think it's that easy.
Before we open, I am painting the loos. I am, you know, looking at new hand dryers. I am doing risk assessments. Connie, that looks after the cafe, my sister, is looking at menus, recipes, allergy stuff. We both had to learn to be baristas. You know, it is, because these are not profitable places. These are literally they are very difficult to make money from. So you have to be able to do absolutely everything. And so that is that is the thing. We've all got to pitch in and do everything, from watering the plants in the tunnel. Gordon, Raymond's partner, is a brilliant plantsman, so he propagates an awful lot of the plants. It's just honestly never ending, and it's very, very physical. Very physical, actually. Running around each morning, checking that, you know, nothing's died in the garden. And I mean that. I mean, you know, like animals. Because, you know, there could have been a fox in the night that's killed a bird. You don't want people arriving seeing that. The full on checking everything. But I mean, luckily we do this as a family and we're a team. So we're all running around making sure it's as fun as it can be.
Actually, we've seen your son on social media as well. Yeah. Are you getting into the gardening side of things?
Herbie would love to be in a spotlight rather than under a shrub. But he does have a definite appreciation of gardening. So he's 18 and he would love to show people round. He loves it here. And I think he knows a lot more about plants than he would probably think, because he's been completely immersed in it.
Well, he's got a good planty name for starters.
He had Well, I named
Herbie,
him
such
after
a cool
the
name.
weed.
Such a cool name.
Yeah, I named him after the weed, Herb Robert. So he's called Herbert after my favourite weed.
Amazing.
So I can't see him being a gardener, but I think he totally sees how gardening should be part of everyone's lives, which is lovely.
That's so nice. And my mum has a hedgehog in her garden, and she's called it Herbie.
It's a good name.
Herbie the hedgehog.
Good name.
So we're talking about opening to the public. Obviously, there's a lot of different challenges there, a lot of costs that are involved as well. And of course, the public can be misbehaving sometimes. Have you ever had any incidents or people stealing cuttings or anything even more serious than that? Because there is a lot of plant theft these days, isn't there? Yeah.
We have the most wonderful customers. I'm not just saying that, but gardeners tend to be absolutely wonderful. Yeah. We have a lot of regulars, a lot of new people. So we have had a few people take cuttings. I don't see it because I'm in the garden, but they may emerge in the cafe with a handbag full of things. So but I would suggest to people that are tempted to take cuttings that just ask.
Because you probably allow them, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Or you would say, I'll do it for you, or I'll give you some seed. I think it's the not asking that's annoying.
True.
But
or if someone brings in a big garden fork and then starts to split your hostas.
If Ellen appears with a pre-war spade, I shall be worried. Because we've got some really unusual plants here. Yeah. So there's some lovely things that I'm sure lots of people would want. But on the whole, our customers are completely delightful. But each year we have a different type of customer, I would say. So I've noticed since COVID, we've definitely got younger customers, most definitely, which is really exciting. I don't know if that's because I'm trying desperately to do Instagram. A lot of people find us through that, younger people. We've done a few things like Pilates on the lawn.
That's cool. Wow.
Yeah, so we're doing slightly different events to pull in people that aren't quite sure about gardening, but maybe, and then when they come, they're like, oh, wow, who knew this was here, sort of thing. So, so we're glad about that. We're seeing a lot more cyclists, which is just brilliant. We love things like this, a few bikers. It's just, I get really excited when I hear a motorbike pull up. I think, how cool is that?
Nice.
Yeah, it's really good. And it's just, some people walk here, all that sort of thing, I think is absolutely brilliant. We've got a lovely group. They do a walk every so often. They start here, they order their lunch, they go on this epic walk and then come back exhausted and have their lunch here.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So,
because I guess I guess also, Tamsin, the cafe is an important part of the kind of attraction for people. Is that,
Absolutely.
would you say that? And
Yeah.
how long has the cafe been there, actually?
The cafe's been there, wasn't there initially. I think it's probably been there about 20 years now.
Okay.
Connie took it over about 5 years ago. And she wasn't in the catering business at all, but we just decided it's best to have the same ethos between both bits.
Okay.
So she's got an amazing team of people. Every single thing is made fresh on site. So we try and use seasonal produce, not all from the garden, some, because we couldn't keep up with that. But I think the loveliest thing about the cafe is everybody that works for us is just delightful. So what's really important to us is whoever comes here is greeted and made to feel special, which is absolutely key. So we do get a lot of people that come on their own and they feel safe here and they feel welcomed and we chat to them. There aren't many places now, you go into town, sometimes you're pushed along and it's not like that here. It's definitely
that's nice.
A really good atmosphere.
It's slow food, right?
Yeah. Well, not that slow, but just nice to have time for people, I think.
Yeah. Time for people surrounded by plants and probably tea and cake as well.
Yes, lots of cake, definitely.
God like tea and cake, right? You obviously work very hard at the garden, you and the team. When people come to visit, how do you handle it if someone kind of questions sort of an aspect of the garden, or something that they don't like or that they're not happy with? How do you deal with that?
I think the hardest thing for me is people will come and have tea and cake and they'll bob their head in April to my bit and they'll go, oh, hi, Tamsin, we won't come yet because obviously there's nothing in flower. And that is heartbreaking because you think our garden is incredible in April. People assume that you really should only visit a garden in June. And that's something
crazy, isn't it?
And when they come early, they're like, oh, wow, if you can persuade them to actually go in. And these are the times of years that people look at their own, they compare what they see in their garden. They think, oh, well, there's nothing in flower in my garden. So obviously there'll be nothing in flower. But we've got 4 acres of hundreds and hundreds of different plants. So that is really, really frustrating. The other thing that can be frustrating is occasionally, very rarely, you'll get people say, why should we have to pay to go around a garden? And then that, to me, says, well, they're not traditional garden visitors.
Yeah.
So that can be quite hurtful because you think, crikey, they've got no idea how hard this is to keep beautiful. But that, again, is not really their fault. Maybe in the media, we just don't share well enough how
I think plants and horticulture are always cheapened by the media or by experiences, and you know the way that people ask gardeners for free advice all the time. You don't ask a plumber for free advice, do you?
No.
It's so different.
Like when you go to someone's house, like if I go to, like, say a friend's house or a party, they're like, oh, Ellen, you're the person. Will you just come in the garden and tell me what this is or how I do that or why that's not growing? I'm like, oh, actually, no, I just came for a glass of wine.
I know.
I could talk about other stuff,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But so I would say, on the whole, if people come in, they're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Who knew this was here? So I think the other thing that we're all guilty of is sometimes you go to a garden, like, oh, I've been there, but you haven't been at a different time of year. So I think it's quite important. We do a season ticket, and I think it's quite a good idea. Not necessarily the same garden every year, but I would say to people who are learning, buy a season ticket to one garden near your home and go and see it every fortnight, and then you'll be, oh, wow, look what this turns into, look what that turns into. So I think somehow we need to get that over, that the seasons are spectacular, but I get a lot of questions like, when's the wisteria in flower? And when are the roses out? And you think, well, but there's so many other things.
Yeah.
But I feel like wisteria has really become like a gateway plant for us.
I agree.
Which is kind of like quite nice in a way that it's been so recognized and it's kind of gone mainstream now. And I think that's a really nice way to kind of bring people into our world and show them what else we've got. So I think it's not such a bad thing that it's so widely recognized, but it's really, we need to maximize on that, don't we?
Yeah. But the other good thing is tulips, because they're earlier in the year. I think, if you've got tulips out in the garden, that's a real draw for people. But that's difficult to mastermind when they're going to flower. Some years you think, oh, gosh, we're just going to catch them,
But I guess that's where social media comes in, really, because you would keep people updated in that way, which you might not have been able to do in the past.
Exactly. So, and that, I think, has definitely helped. I can... if people follow you, they can see the changes and they are more likely to visit at a different time of year. So that's probably my biggest beef, is that people will go, oh, it's probably not ready yet. And you think, why would we open if it wasn't ready? Yeah. Our National Garden Scheme Day is
good point, actually.
Day, because it's just looking gorgeous. So,
The messages, get out there and go and visit the garden any time of year. If there's a garden open, go see it. Right? And also, I think seasonally, just go and see all the different seasons. Even if you can't go every couple of weeks, go every season. There's so much beauty if you can. If the garden's open all year, then go and see
Especially if it's local to you. I guess there's people visit in different ways. I guess local people would come often, or other people might be doing a tour in the area. So I guess, how do you advertise, actually? Because you could almost link up with some other gardens or nurseries.
We're very friendly with all our other gardens in the area. And I think it's really important that we market Herefordshire as a great place for gardens to come. And I'm a real believer that collaboration is king with everything. So I think the more you can speak to other local businesses, hotels. I spend a lot of time speaking to people that have B&Bs or maybe do yoga, or, because there's always a way that you can come up with an idea that you think, oh, crikey, why don't we do this? So I think collaborative marketing and sort of getting people to Herefordshire is really useful. We don't have a huge budget to do much else. So a lot of it is me doing talks. I spend the winter doing talks, going to shows, social media. So, and being in the county. So I'm just about to do an event for the hospice. So, you've got to just be out there that people see you and think, oh, haven't heard, where's she from?
Okay, nice.
Important.
What sort of advice would you give someone who might be looking to open their own garden, or if they haven't got such a, grand garden, maybe someone who wants to work in an open garden? Is that an easy thing to then get into?
Yeah, I mean, I think opening your own garden is very brave, because you are opening yourself up to criticism. The hardest thing, I think, is that you can't go anywhere. I'm very fortunate. I have my uncle and my sister. If you're on your own doing it and you're opening, all season, you literally, that is everything. So that can be quite restricting. I mean, but some people might love that. So that's fine. The other thing, obviously, you've got to look at insurance policies. You've got to look at health and safety. And just whether you are the sort of person that minds someone looking through your kitchen window, because I'm terribly nosy. If I'm going to an open garden, so you've got to be quite relaxed in that way, I think. You've got to have a personality that you think, well, this is great, this is fine. But if you want to work in one, we've just recently started having volunteers. We've got 3 lovely ladies that come and help. And I think that's a really good way to find out whether you like it. You don't have to give hours of your time. I'm hoping that my lovely volunteers will learn something from us, or it's just a lovely respite from their lives and just something a bit different. And there's things like the RAG scheme. We've had someone from that scheme before. That's a good scheme where you work with the garden 1 day a week and you get paid. I would imagine it's quite difficult. If you have no experience, you really are looking at making friends with a garden owner and saying, look, can you guide me through this? And it's whether they've got the time to do that, really. But you need something back as a volunteer, don't you? If you're, you need to feel you've learned something.
Yeah, volunteering is great, but you
Good
do
advice.
you want to feel like you want to walk away having learnt something or progressed in some way. But that's great advice, all of that. Thank you. What's coming up for you, Tamsin, in the future, in the near future?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'll probably try anything that's thrown at me. I'm just off to Hay tomorrow to
oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm hosting a talk with Sarah Raven and Sue Kent, so that's rather exciting. Coming to Gardeners World Live, where I hope I'll see Ellen, and maybe we'll get a chance to chat, which would be lovely. So I'm on the Q&A desk there. What else? Toying with ideas of writing another book, but for me, it's time. It's when am I going to do that? So I'm a terrible ideas person. I just love it. If I have coffee with someone, all these ideas come out. And
same. Yeah.
My sister, I can see her thinking, "Oh, come on, what are you doing now?" But it's just fun. That's from being in the magazine world. You have to keep having ideas. You've got all those pages to fill. So it's not now. I'm like programmed that I'll come up with ideas for other people, and probably but it's just what I do.
But that's the creative entrepreneurial spirit that you have.
I can't say they all work though, Ellen, sadly.
That's okay. I'm the same. I even just doing like an episode of the podcast, I'm thinking of things all of the time. Like things pop into my mind. Probably about 1% get done.
It's actually
but it's good.
It's quite exhausting being that type of person though, because you actually exhaust yourself and you've got no one else to blame. But
you have to go take it out in the garden. Take it out in the garden. Thank you very much, Tamsin. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You said before we came on live, you said that you'd been around and asked for a few funny stories about things that have happened at the garden. Are there any that you harvested that you haven't brought up during this podcast? And would you like to deliver those to us now?
Yeah, so I went and spoke to our cafe team and said, right, come on, what's the funniest thing? And it was quite recent, actually. We've got these lovely benches around the edge of the cafe, and there's one by the kitchen, and one of the team had put a cake, freshly made 2 cakes on there, and somebody sat on the cake. It was a coffee cake.
On the cake?
So they're 2 cakes totally squashed. And what is so funny is when they lifted them up, they obviously had I don't know what they were in, but there's now a sort of bottom-shaped mark on the seat. It's hilarious where the cakes were. So that was quite funny. And then the other very memorable one is once or twice a year, Raymond goes into the pond with his wetsuit on and his socks to pull out the weeds, the pond weed. And 1 year he walked from the pond, which is right at the far end, up to the cafe and lay on a table in the cafe garden and said, "Can someone help me get out of this suit?" It was hilarious. So it's got a zip at the back, So now we say to him, "Oh God, what are you doing?" It's just so funny. But Raymond is and Gordon, they're real personalities. And Raymond's appeared on my Instagram a few times, and we had an electrician here the other day, and he went, "You're the guy off Instagram. My mum loves watching you."
Oh, that's brilliant.
But Raymond's a bit unsure as to what Instagram is. That's what's so funny.
Oh, that's so cute.
He's Insta famous and doesn't even know it.
No, absolutely no idea.
Awesome. That's really cool. I love seeing Raymond on there. I'm a fan also.
Yeah, he's definitely the star.
Thank you.
But, bit of fun.
Brilliant.
So where can people find out more about you on Instagram, or where can they buy your books as well?
Okay,
because they are also hilarious.
Oh, you
I
are
have to
good.
say.
So my books are published by Orphans Publishing, which is a local company. So you can go to them direct to get a signed copy, or you can order them if they're not in your local bookshop. Just go in and order them. And you can find out about Stocktonbury on our website, which is stocktonbury.whatever.
Okay, cool.
And my Instagram is at Tamsin Westhorpe. So that's probably what I'm on most of the time. I haven't ventured into any other social media because I can't cope with it. So, so we'd love people to come and visit.
I think it sounds like you have quite enough on your hands without having to handle all of the social media platforms.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Instagram's where it's at anyway.
Oh, good. Well, I expect you two to tell me when it's not. When you think, why is she still on here? You know, like 30 years' time when no one else is on it. You just let me know that I'm well behind the times.
It'll be like, Tamsin, it's time to move on now.
Yeah, I could do with that advice.
But even TikTok, I can't be bothered. Even doing the same content as Instagram, I don't know. But you do, Ellen. Like,
I do TikTok, but then I don't really do Twitter or whatever it's called now. I don't really do Threads.
No, I don't do those.
Facebook is literally, it just posts to Facebook when I post it. I don't really manage it. So I really use Instagram and TikTok.
Ooh.
So yeah,
Fancy.
I think two is enough for me, to be honest.
But there's a balance, isn't there? You know, you can't spend your whole day on it because we've got so much else to do.
Exactly.
So there is a balance, and you know, it's got to be fun, hasn't it? If you enjoy it, do it.
Yeah, of course.
Don't.
Yeah.
So, absolutely, couldn't agree more. If you enjoy it, do it, and we hope all our listeners enjoy gardening. There you go. Thank you.
Let's hope so.
Oh, thank you so much.
You coming on to the podcast. Did you mention your podcast? I don't remember if we mentioned.
Oh yes, so my podcast is Fresh from the Pod. There's about 50 episodes up, but I haven't done any new ones because I don't know, life's just got in the way. Maybe one day. But and there's lots of other people doing wonderful podcasts, so that's good. So maybe one day, but you see, that was an idea. Now I've got another one, and I'll have another one.
You just got to keep going.
It would be bad if we didn't have any ideas. So we'd feel a bit worried then. So cool. Thank you so much for joining us today, darling. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Tamsin.
See you soon.
Oh, excuse you.
Sorry.
You have a sore throat at the moment.
I do. I'm on the tail end of doing some 0898 number work. So, What are you wearing, Ellen?
Oh gosh.
What? Is it not sexy?
We're not gonna do that.
No, I had a sore throat the last couple of days. It's really and like obviously I'm really trying to take care of myself over the last couple months, but then suddenly when you suddenly got a sore throat and you're like, well, oh my god, then it's like, and then everyone's like, when everyone then knows you're then sick, they're kind of like, oh, I hope you've been looking after yourself. And it's like, oh my god, illnesses come from anywhere at any time. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I know people care, but it's not that helpful at that point. It's like, I know, I'm trying to do my best, Yeah,
I know. At the end of the day, viruses are viruses, aren't they? You can't bring anything. Like just going to the coffee shop. I know,
that's the thing. And I know I really know the next couple of weeks is going to be such a challenge for me because there's going to be a lot of things happening. But I need to find a new way to manage that and kind of really just build in the rest periods and kind of just not allow it to get too intense. That's the thing. And it's going to be a really new challenge for me, but I have to do it because the thing is, there are times in the year, and you know how this is, when the diary kind of compounds a bit. And especially in June, you've got a lot of different industry events and public events and you got to just find a way to kind of manage that with a good amount of rest during and stuff.
Yeah,
so
just try and take some space
a bit
in between.
nervous, but I'm up for the challenge. Yeah, so
take space in between, and after that, sometimes, like especially August is actually quite a quiet month in the world of gardening.
Well, do you know what?
Not if
I
you're
think
out there
August-
gardening, but like
No,
media.
for work, yeah. I think August always catches me out because I always feel like, I'll be on hand, I'll be available. And then you realise no one's really around.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best time to actually disappear and have time off, sort of
Yeah.
thing. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, Melon, you know.
Okay, well, you sound like you're maybe getting a little bit better, so all is well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was really croaking my way through a QVC show on, Sunday? So it's much, much better now. Yeah, but when you're just on the tail end of stuff. But really, you just have to keep looking after yourself. And I don't know, since my kind of like sickness epiphany, maybe we'll call it, I'm just very aware of everything we put in our bodies and how important it is. And like even, while I'm sick, you're probably going to crave just lying on the sofa, have Pringles, chocolate, something like this. But I really force myself to cook myself salmon for lunch and lentils because this is ultimately the thing that's going to make me feel better. Having crisps and chocolate is going to make me feel nice in the short term, but that's not going to help my recovery. So it's stuff like that. And I remember being backstage at QVC last week, and they're always ordering Deliveroo in the evenings, like the backstage staff, and they were ordering McDonald's. And I felt so old because I was like, you guys should really eat something more healthy because you'll regret this in your future when you haven't eaten well, because like they won't be as healthy, potentially they won't have as good a skin or something, and like you really gotta start taking care of yourself as young as you can, So
well,
I don't know. I'm starting to get like a wise old auntie or something.
No, honestly, I was chatting about this just the other day.
Really?
My husband. And when you're young, people always say things like the youth is wasted on the young. And when you're young, oh yeah, I'm having the best time doing the most amazing things.
Yeah.
But it is so true. When you start to age, I wish I'd looked after myself a little bit better 20 years ago.
I do and I don't, because I could have been a lot worse. I wasn't. Yeah, I guess when I was younger, I wasn't always eating well, but I think I woke up to it a lot sooner than many people have, and I think you would say the same.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah.
So you're right.
But it is mad, isn't it? Yeah, because that all contributes to how you feel. So
it does. Well, on that note, shall we talk about some plants?
Yeah, of course. But yeah, no. I was still on that note, actually. I hadn't moved on yet. I don't know.
You haven't moved on. Okay. Is there something you needed to finish up with?
Well, I was just going to discuss the theory. I wanted to discuss the theory of rest.
Okay. Let's discuss.
And what really is rest? Because this is something that's really been in my head a lot recently.
Okay.
Like, rest is doing something that doesn't take you any effort to do. But that might also be walking in nature. But it feels like rest has to be sitting still, like looking at the ceiling. But it's not. And that's something I've really been trying to get my head around the last kind of like month or so. What does rest really look like? For me, I guess, because it's very different for everyone, isn't it? Like, what would you say? What is rest?
I think it depends on what you need at the time. Like, if you physically need rest, then you need to physically rest. But it doesn't mean mentally you need to rest. Maybe you're working with your feet. Or mentally, if you need to rest, you need
I guess there's different. There's mental and physical, isn't there?
Yeah, you need to take time out from what is, keeping your brain busy. And then rest as well. Like, I always find if I've been, say, at a show for 4 days talking to people being comfortable, which I love. Mentally and physically, I'm good, but socially, I need a break, which means I don't really chat with anyone.
Yeah, there's different types.
So I think it depends on what you need, but overall, rest is mind, body, and soul, isn't it? Which is doing something that is, like you said, that isn't difficult for you. But it depends. Rest is different for everybody. Do you know what I mean? Like, rest for me is meditation. But I'm doing something because I'm meditating. Do you know what I mean? But that's rest, and going for a walk in nature is rest for me, mind, body, and soul.
Yeah, totally.
It just depends, I think, on what is rest for you, what you need individually.
Yeah, interesting. But no, it's definitely something that I'm more just aware of and stuff. And yeah.
Well,
I'm on a big rebirth at the moment, Ellen Mary. I'm like it's like I'm like breaking out of the egg or something.
Breaking out of the egg.
I'm covered in embryonic juice.
That's so gross.
Or I'm like a phoenix. I'm a phoenix rising from ashes or something. Yeah.
Because you were in the ashes.
I don't know. I'm sure there's some cool phrase that I'm just on the cusp of, but I can't get it yet.
I think that you're having an awakening. I think
definitely.
Of some kind.
But more importantly, how are you? How's the rash?
You always ask me that. I don't think I've had a rash in probably since I had measles when I was 2. But thanks for asking. Yeah.
No worries, darling.
All is good. I'm currently what you would say is resting, I think, but also I'm midway through my yoga teacher training. And I'm doing hours and hours of yoga a day. So physically, my body is not resting, but mentally, my body, I'm resting completely. You know, I'm not on socials as much. I'm not responding to emails very quickly. I'm not working a great deal. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm literally having a week.
But that's good. When it's freelance, it's hard because you don't really work this 9 to 5, so you can spill over into all corners of your life, you know. So I think rest is really important when you're a freelancer, because when you're in a 9 to 5, your rest periods are defined, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I've self-prescribed a week of rest in that.
Yeah.
But I'm also doing my teacher training, so I'm still being active and busy. But
that's cool.
Then, like, really, in a week or so, I'm back. I'm at BBC Gardeners World Live for 4 days, so that's like full on hosting.
Totally.
Every day, talking with people. Like, I love it. It's amazing. I thoroughly love it. But you do sort of need a break in between those gigs.
Yeah. And do you find, Ellen, that being friendly takes a lot of effort for you?
No, I don't be so mean. That's ridiculous.
I'm so sorry. That was awful of me. Whatever happened? I was going to say something else.
I like people, but I always say, like, if I have 4 days of people, I need 2 days off.
Well, we said to Tamsin, who's in the podcast this week, we said, when you visit a flower show, you've either got the choice of 2 things. You can either visit the show, look at all the displays, or you can chat to all the people you know. It's impossible to do both. So you need to wear a wig if you're going to look at the show. Because honestly, it's a nightmare. And then you have these little short conversations and you always wish that they were longer and like,
But if you're working at the show, you can go to the show earlier or stay later, which is really nice. But if you're going to visit the show, like Chelsea obviously was just recently. I came away and I'm like, I see all these pictures of things. I'm like, I never saw that. Like, where was that? I mean, like, how? That's
why I find it easier to watch the telly.
I like the TV coverage, but it was controversial a bit this year.
Which bit?
Obviously, it was controversial because apparently Monty Don and Joe Swift, I might add I didn't watch this, so I'm only repeating what I've read, didn't seem particularly impressed that Ula Maria won the best forest bathing garden. And Ula was actually a guest on this podcast, so we have...
Yeah, you called that. You called that really well.
And also Giulio, who won. Yeah,
you called 2 of them really well. That was really good.
Two guys. So on the coverage, Joseph did write down on a piece of paper who they think will win.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
And then they open it up as announced. I think that I should be doing that.
But I think, they were obviously disappointed they didn't get it right, which maybe came across in a different way. But, I think also Ula, she's kind of like, when you have horse racing and there's an outsider that comes up and then just triumphs. And I feel like she was a bit like that, really. People didn't expect it. And on one level, that's kind of beautiful, but also that's a bit disingenuous that they didn't expect that someone who's an outsider could potentially win Best in Show. So it's kind of...
Well, I think they missed the mark there because Ula also Best Young Landscape.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
A few years ago. sorry, that's really rude that I don't remember the title of the award, but she did win something like best newcomer or best young under 30.
Yeah, totally.
So she has amazing talent and knowledge, and so they underestimated that, I think.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know.
maybe...
I didn't hear what they said, so I can't really comment. But I just know that was apparently a little controversial.
And maybe just not used to different faces being in there that haven't been, you know, in the mix, you know, traditionally as well. So it was that was a good result in my eyes as well, because it feels like a bit of a game-changing result, you know?
I thought so too, you know. Young female, up and coming,
totally.
Bathing garden, so I'm all for that, obviously.
Yeah, so many ticks.
And
definitely.
then also Julio, who won the best, like the first ever RHS Chelsea award for the sustainability side of things.
Yeah.
He's from Italy, and he done an awesome job. Every single thing on his garden was sustainably made. And it was really awesome. So two great guests who done great at Chelsea. Did you enjoy Chelsea when you were there on press day?
Yeah, I think so, but like I say, it's easier to just watch it on TV, really.
I think you see a lot closer in the gardens. Like even on press day, you walk around and you see you can't always get up close and personal, you know, to the plants and you know, see really closely and get the detail. Not always anyway. And they do that on the coverage, which is quite cool. I thought it was a good show this year. Like
I liked it.
I thought it was good. Shall I tell you something that I completely missed? I completely and utterly missed the balcony gardens.
Oh, I was lucky enough to go the next day, and I did go down there. They were really awesome, actually. Yeah.
And you said down there.
Yeah.
Where even were they?
Well, kind of, you know, after the houseplants, that kind of loops around.
Yeah.
Yeah, the back road sort of thing.
So basically, they're really far at the back.
Yeah, but it's kind of more integrated now than it ever was. Yeah. Because it's just at the end of the houseplants, and then you go left.
But if you didn't know they were there, you wouldn't go. Like, you wouldn't see them.
Yeah, but you could say that about houseplants.
Yeah, I think houseplants are a bit...
You know?
Yes, but same.
Yeah.
I'm gutted I missed the balcony, because obviously I garden on balconies.
You're tall.
It's a shame to have missed those, but awesomely good.
Well, you can watch it on TV.
I could watch it on TV. I did watch some of the coverage on TV. I just never come away from Chelsea feeling satisfied, and I can't put my finger on it. I think
it's because you need to wear a wig. You need to wear a wig.
I think it's amazing. I think the talent and knowledge, skill and time and effort and everything in Chelsea is epic.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna say otherwise, because I think the growers, the breeders, just everything incredible. But I never come away feeling easy about Chelsea, and I don't know why. But I did see a post. I think this is worth mentioning, because I know other people feel the same. There was a post by Lee Burkill, who is the ninja guy. And he said he wasn't going this year because actually Chelsea made him feel a little anxious. And he's had not such a good experience on occasion. So he's just going to take it going. He'll come back next year. And then when I was walking around, there was someone, and I don't know if he would want me to say, so I'm not going to, who mentioned this to me and said that he feels exactly the same. And I kept wondering why. And I was trying to work out why some people feel anxious or uneasy about Chelsea. I come away from it feeling uneasy, not anxious, but uneasy. And do you know what? I think it's working class roots.
Oh, yeah. It is, and I felt this when I watched the coverage. It's just so middle class. It really is.
Yeah.
And like, even, I don't know, even like when there's something more unique or kind of like, it still has a middle class flavour to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I would love that to be different.
Yeah, that there's a place for all, you know, I get it. And there are things within Chelsea where that has diversified, 100%. Yeah. It's not that, but I think as a working class person, you're not brought up surrounded by that kind of extravagance, if you like. And so maybe there's an element of imposter syndrome there. There is some pompousness about it and pretentiousness about it. And if you're not that kind of person, then maybe you feel out of place. And so I think, and I was coming away thinking, why do I feel uneasy? Like, we all know what Chelsea is. We all know what it's about. Like, why after all of these years? And I think these working class roots. I really do.
Well, also, Ellen, I think you're the same, but I'm not really excited by celebrity either.
No.
And so that kind of like excitement over like celebrities on the Monday is really not my bag either. And people are like, oh, who did you spot? And it's like, well, I don't know. I'm not really interested in. Yeah. And that is because I believe in my head that everyone is kind of level in a way, even if they're not, but in my head they are, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Well, everybody is.
No, that's a good point, Melon.
Everyone is human, and that's that. But
yeah, totally.
There's some element to the grandeur of Chelsea that makes it feel uneasy for many different reasons. But for me, I think it's like that working class background, and I just kind of. So anyway, after Chelsea, I had a conversation with my mum.
I love this, like one rant to the other.
I had a conversation with my mum and my stepdad, and I never. When I was younger, as a working class family, very much so, I kind of, I guess, wished on occasion for, I don't know, some friends were more wealthy or had more, had more things. And as a young person, like, oh, I'd really like that. But I said to my mum and stepdad, I am so proud of our working class roots. I'm so proud of what they have achieved and were able to provide for me. Do you know what I mean? And how that has set me up on a balance with stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I thought actually out of Chelsea came this kind of real, I don't know, I just feel really proud, of my family. For sure. And
very nice.
Be able to still go to somewhere like Chelsea, but next year and I will view that differently because I kind of get where I'm at it now. So that's kind of cool.
Okay, that's cool.
Michael had stopped listening to me then.
No,
Literally,
I listened to everything.
He was like, I'm done with this now, I'm going to go on my phone.
Sorry, Ellen, this is my third podcast of the day and I've also got a sore throat.
Okay, well, I was continuing to talk because you did tell me to lead.
But not on our own podcast, not on our own gossip, darling. I meant on the interviews.
Okay, well, anyway, was there anything stand out for you at Chelsea specifically?
I think She Grows Veg did a great job and they got lots of great coverage as well. Yeah. And the whole message behind it was really, really good. And well executed. Cool. So that's really quite memorable for me, I would say. Yeah. Sorry. But for me, I'm not like, I enjoy all the shows and I kind of enjoy them all the same, really. I don't know. Okay. Chelsea is not necessarily like my favorite or anything. I like them all for different reasons, So cool. I would say.
So what else have you been up to then recently?
Coughing and such. I don't know, where have I been? I don't know, but I'm ready for I'm in Italy for a couple of days next week, visiting a supplier, but hopefully that will be a kind of quite a chilled kind of like wander around and stuff, because then I've got Holland for like probably about a week with the flower trials and stuff, so that's going to be quite full on too. So lots of travel in the next couple of weeks actually. So but it's the hot season, I think I'm going to take the whole of August off actually. That'd be cool. I never done that before, take a whole month off. I think I'd be bored. I don't know. But then we still would look at plants, wouldn't we, We would still do the same thing.
You've done August as an off month before, I can remember. I remember you saying or on the down low kind of thing, like on the down.
Yeah, down low. La 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 la. So I'm just really aware it's such a busy time at the minute, but just trying to manage that best I can. But also because I said to you, you obviously have been a wonderful guest in my house recently, which has been on Airbnb for a couple of years. But I put it on the market recently because I think having that there was like another open folder. I feel like I have so many open folders in my head in my life over the last couple of months. So yeah, and it's sold, but now I've kind of like got the kind of low key stress of then emptying it, because how did I fill a house, 3-bedroom house with a garage with stuff, from 0 to full in like 2 years, 3 years? What the hell, Ellen? Honestly, do you want anything?
When I was there, you were like, you asked me if there's something that you would like. I'm like, I don't even have anywhere for any more stuff.
Oh. But I'm intentionally probably making it more difficult for myself by refusing to get a storage unit yet, because if I do that, I will just move everything into the storage unit and I won't sort it. And that won't really help anything. Do you know what I mean? That won't help my kind of clutter in my head or in my kind of physical presence as well. So I've now got all the clothes here in the apartment and I need to sort through them. But I'm kind of looking forward to doing that and being the other side. And kind of once I get into sorting stuff, I quite enjoy it. But it's just starting those jobs, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
like moving house is stressful. And even if it's not going to be, it absolutely will be, you know, but you've got
at least
time.
I just got to move out. There's no chain necessarily. So I've never been in a chain. I think I would absolutely hate it.
Yeah, it's not particularly fun. But once it's done, it's done. And you have got time. So if you kind of do it bit by bit,
yeah, definitely.
Will you miss your garden? Because your garden is really nice.
I will, but just the situation is, you know, just ultimately, you know, having a house like 2.5 hours from where I'm usually then working and like where I'm also living a life is just too difficult. And it's either one way or the other. You know, I could stay living there in the town in Suffolk and then end up being in a hotel all the time in London, or I live in London and have more of my own life and I don't have to stay in a hotel and be away from home. And, you know, so at some point, I then like to buy something that has a garden down here, but I just need to do this one step at a time sort of thing. Yeah. But ultimately, it's just, you know, this is a much easier existence to not then be on the road so much and to be then staying in London in hotels. So I feel like it's the right decision. This part of it is the right decision, if you know what I mean. But I know there's a lot of parts to the whole project that need to be done. So
I wonder what the new owners...
You get it? Yeah.
I wonder what the new owners will think of your front garden and your back garden. But your front garden is literally it's the definition of chaos gardening. It's literally chaotic in a marvelous way, I might add. But it's like totally and utterly bonkers. And I wonder what they would do. It wouldn't surprise me if someone came in and literally cut it all back.
Oh, totally. But the thing is, isn't it so weird that like the gardens that we've created are the ones that are kind of looked down on as being a mess? Where they're the ones that are better for wildlife. It's so crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Honestly, because I think I took the offer on the house. There was like 12 people that looked round. And I think even though it's a lovely house, I think there were some things that went against it. One of those is the garden, because it looks heavy maintenance.
Yeah.
But that's a lack of education, because the front garden just needs a cut down once every year in the spring. You're good to go. Easy. You hardly get any weeds because there's no ground to spare. The back garden, very similar story, but like people would rather accept a garden that has a lawn in and see that as low maintenance.
Yeah.
It's mad. It's really mad, Melon.
I know.
Mad
it's
Melon.
Educated everyone, you know, to be, but
honestly,
I think that's changing a little. Like, I hope it's changing a little.
Yeah.
More, you know, out there about how, you know, scruffy, also termed, a scruffy garden is better for, you know, maintenance and for wildlife. So, you know, hopefully...
It's just so weird that would be seen as the untidy one.
Yeah.
That would be, you know, not necessarily what people would aspire to in the neighbourhood, you know?
Yeah. Imagine if everybody's front gardens down that, like, road, all the way. Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Honestly. They don't realise how little maintenance that is.
Yeah.
That type of garden is like deliciously low maintenance, you know?
I loved how when I sent you the photo, you were like, where did that foxglove come from?
But, you know, it's just lovely. I love it. So, really.
I think you're missing time to move on.
Yeah, no, totally. It's just, one part in a bigger puzzle, but I really need to start sorting these clothes. But it's really hard because I'm then pacing myself and not trying to do it all the time. But it's so hard when it's then in your environment and you're still looking and walking past the pile that I sent you a picture of earlier, and it's like, oh my God. But I'm trying to also take it easy. So, oh my God. And it's those jobs that no one else could do for you as well, isn't it? You know?
Why don't you set yourself like times? Do you know what I mean? Like literally time.
Yeah.
I will sort this stuff for 30 minutes at 2 p.m.
True.
And then that's it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you've literally got a set time every day to sort stuff.
Yeah, but sometimes you get in a flow. And sometimes I would probably start and then end up doing the whole thing or something. Because you get into the spirit of it, you know?
But if you feel like you're happy doing it, then do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
How you
true.
feel.
Oh, I don't know, Melon.
Tune into yourself, what you need and what you want to do, you know?
Well, do you know what? This morning I was like taking it easy and I hadn't looked at my emails. I know you were talking about emails, and that was kind of on my list to kind of delve into those tomorrow. But I just kind of had this like feeling and not a yearning, but it just felt right to do it at that point. And so I then just ended up doing it, even though I didn't plan to. So I'm quite good at following my nose sometimes. Yeah.
Good. Oh,
yeah, thank you.
Flying around. Oh, fungus gnat or what?
Oh no.
That's annoying. Fungus gnats.
Have you not got lava light, darling?
Lava light, yeah, I need some lava light.
Yeah, geez.
It's really annoying.
Wonderful. Oh, well, thank you for joining. Gardener's World is coming up then next.
BBC Gardener's World coming up.
I'll be there Saturday, Sunday, but you'll be there from all the time, right?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm hosting the House Plant Hub. I will be there all day, every day.
Yeah.
Barely get a moment to leave. So that's when it's quite good to get in early and have a look around the show before people get there. But House Hub like last year is really cool. Have loads of cool guests. Mm-hmm. You know, and you're there Saturday and Sunday too. What will you be doing?
Yeah. On the main stage, little kind of like My Life with Plants. So it'll be a nice presentation, and also doing some container wars with Kim O'Brien. I think on the urban stage at 1 p.m. maybe. I need to check this. So yeah.
Urban stage, is that the new stage that Aid is hosting?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I'll have to check the schedule on the website for myself.
You're awesome. Also, I just booked in to do some work at RHS Malvern Autumn Festival, which I haven't done before.
Oh, cool.
So that's very cool.
What are you going to do?
I've got some... there's something that's apparently embargoed, so I'm not allowed to say, but I'm hosting somebody there and doing some talks and other bits and pieces. So
Oh, Wondercrump.
Ooh. Okay, I'm going to go now because very soon in half an hour I have a yoga session, so yes.
Oh, cool. Oh, good luck, darling.
Thank you.
Lovely job. Ooh.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
I'm just on the Gardener's World website now, looking at when I'm speaking, so. It's confused me. Right, I'm going.
Okay.
Cool, thank you, Melon.
Thank you.
I will see you soon, darling. Thank you. Bye.
Happy packing.
The tranquil, soothing, natural sound of flowing water. Listening to it has been shown to lower your heart rate and blood pressure and gently relax your whole body. Combining the magical sound of cascading water with the beauty of plants, Hydria Life now enable you to enjoy these same health and well-being benefits at home or in the garden. Get 10% off their rechargeable Hydria fountain at hydrialife.com when you quote code PLANT24 on ordering. That's PLANT24 on ordering.
The music for the Plant-Based podcast is part of the song Grow by Mikey James, and our editor is Gareth Patch of Semi Echo.